Holy crap, guys. It is the first day of the NFL season. It's hype. And you already know we had to do a video. I was just messaging in the chat, reacting to the Jake Fleming trade, so just to obviously note again that I had to change, it would have been like an hour's worth of work to go change everyone's slides, change all the literally almost the entire slide deck here. So we'll just keep in mind that was a pretty big blockbuster trade, and I'll talk about it when we get there. But let's get into this. It is week 1. First game is tonight. A lot can go down. And also, if you're new, I guess, I mean, I've kept pretty much the same format here. Mostly what I'm doing here is just walking through the format and then touching a little bit on each of your teams. There's so much randomness week 1, it's really hard to make any kind of prediction, although we all did make predictions, so that's fun. But anyway, starting off with I always cover the first and last games. Usually it's just Thursday night and Monday night. This week we also got a Friday, so we'll touch on that. But Cowboys, Eagles. Eagles are favored pretty heavily. Should be a high-scoring game in theory. If the Cowboys offense should be good with Pickens. So, I mean, we've got a lot of guys. I'm not going to list everyone. Pretty much anyone who's probably touching the ball tonight more than 3 times is in a starting lineup. So, yeah, it'll be fun. Some big names, really. Saquon, Hurts, Pickens, CD and Pickens, Dak, you could say. I mean, these are actually all pretty big names. There may be some smaller names here that I didn't list. It's not all inclusive. It's going to be hard to be all inclusive this early in the season. But maybe some of those other Cowboys running backs, Jaden Blue. I'm not sure who else is getting thrown in there. Will Shipley, the Eagles. Yeah, okay. Let's keep it going. It'll be a fun one. Actually, what I'll do, so it's actually a pretty neat feature of the Sleeper app. If I go to scores, click on the game, make sure I'm on the proper league. It's not gonna let me. Here we go, fancy. Yep, it shows people's names next to all the starters. So who has a lot on the line tonight? If anyone here has more than one person, okay, Ben has Javonte and CeeDee Lamb. That's a double up. We got JC with AJ Brown and Shipley. I'm not sure if he's starting Shipley. And who else has more than one going on tonight? You have more than one player tonight, and you are probably glued to the screen. There you go, Matt, Rain Man, Devonta Smith, Jaden Blue. So really only Ben with 2 guaranteed starters, but should be a good one. We'll be watching, obviously. Friday night we got the Brazil game, Chiefs, Chargers. A lot of starters here as well on both these teams. Chiefs are favored by a field goal. Not that much more of a high-scoring game than the Eagles Cowboys, according to the books. But lots of guys in here. Let me do the same exercise. Let's see who's got a lot going on. JC, who we mentioned on the last one, has Mahomes and Hollywood Brown, and that's it. So that's the Chiefs defense. So JC, by 2 days from now, will have, it seems like 4 of his 9 starters already played, so that's a big deal. Anyone else in here? Huff, Xavier Worthy, Quentin Johnson. Ben also has Pacheco. Yeah, that's I think that covers the people who. I forgot to look at the defenses for the other game. I doubt anyone has the Cowboys defense. Nope. Fleming has the Eagles defense. Does that make him double up? It does. He has Pickens and the Eagles defense, so working against each other in theory. Okay, let's move on. No point in getting too bogged down, but those, like, early in the season, these like prime time, early week, and end of week matchups mean a lot, because people are going to panic after the first 2 games if they're not doing well, if they put up a dud. And Monday night, you're going to have people that are desperate trying to trade for Justin Jefferson, whoever really. But for that to work out, you also have to have an open starting spot going into that game. So it doesn't always line up like that. But here we go. Bears, Vikings. I'm excited to see how the Bears do, and excited to see the J.J. McCarthy debut. I think Caleb Williams could take a big leap this year, although I'm not a fan of him personally. But I think he could be exciting. A lot could go right with that offense with Ben Johnson. So I'm excited to see it all go down. I'm also excited to see Thielen. I could see him just like going off and picking up right where he left off on the Vikings, except he's older. But let's do a quick look at who has a lot on the line. This is the more important one to really look at who has who. Who has multiple people in this game? So going back to JC, who has a lot on Thursday, Friday, he's got DeAndre Swift. Looks like Jack. Did I see Jack's name twice? Yeah, he's got Caleb Williams and Justin Jefferson, so that's pretty huge. David has the stack of Hawkinson and McCarthy. And well, Jack also has Jalen Naylor. If he decides to start him, probably not, but maybe. Potter has the Bears defense as well, because who else did he have? And Monangai, maybe not a start, but could be. And that appears to be... You got Matt with Roshan and Aaron Jones, so there are some people doubling up here. It should be a close game. We got the Vikings favored by 1.5. Excited for this one. Someone will be going home after this game. Hopefully it's not decided before that. It's way more fun when it's decided during it. This is just setting the stage. This will be the format. Heads will start piling up here as the season goes on. And all of our points for on the year will be here. I don't think we'll have as much of teams benching their starters now that there's more incentives to be the highest scorer each week. There's actual financial incentive to do so. And there's no longer the week total score on the season to determine tiebreakers of fab bidding. So last year it was based off total points for on the year, so anyone would have the incentive to just score as little as possible every week if they could still survive. So that's now gone. So it should be more higher scoring now. Here's the economy. I did not just update this with what just happened with Fleming, and I believe it was Fleming losing 45, Jake getting 45. So that would put Fleming all the way. I will update that though in the data for the league tracking, because that 145 in a given week might be one of the highest in history. It'll be up there in top 3 probably. So Fleming's really at 145. Jake's really at, or no, sorry, Fleming's at 55. Jake's at 145. Still 2,000 in circulation. We got Jack lower. Max already spent some and got some back, but still net under 100. And me and Ryan are the ones over 100 now with Jake in first. Weekly accolades for those who are new or those who forgot. You get the star. The star also means $6, so that's cool. Now, more meaning behind it. You get a flame if you're in the top 25% of scoring in a given week. Ice cube if you're bottom 25%. The trash can to the team that just barely survived. The second lowest scoring team each week. And then, of course, you get the guillotine, you get the chop if you're last. And into the graphs, my favorite part. This is just a wild scatter plot. Everyone's all over the place. Eventually it starts to become a little more uniform, sometimes. But ultimately what we have here is a scatter plot of your Fantasy Pros ranking, which is just a website that I like to use that I can plug the league into, and it ranks everyone's teams by strength for this week. This is your week 1 strength. And versus how your sleeper projection normalize off the data, you get this. So if you're in the red, both sleeper and Fantasy Pros do not like you. They think you are in the bottom half of the league, and that being James way down there, Mark way down there, and Mitchell kind of floating in the middle. Those in theory are weak links going into week 1 that probably are under the most pressure to not get chopped. And then top right, me, Jack, Colston, and Walker are up there with other names. In the green, Ryan, David, Matt. And then if you're in one of the yellows, that just means one platform likes you more than the other, meaning one platform thinks you're above the median of the league or the average of the league, and the other is not. You're below the average. So I won't go through every name, but you see where you are. I think you can't really see them. I think Ben is right there, overlapped, and Jake is right there. And that's Jake right here. Jake. I'm struggling. Huff. Philip? Yeah, it's Philip. And then we have Fleming, Ben, and someone else. If you're the last man out there and you can't figure out where you are, that's where you are. Doesn't mean too much week 1, but I would probably have to agree that I think these 3 teams are in trouble this week. To foreshadow a little bit. The second graph, only 2 this week because there isn't really much to report on. This is just the budget versus your position strength. Position strength determined by Fantasy Pros. It's your relative position strength, so it's like if you have the best quarterback, 1, which I think would be like Josh Allen, you have 1 for that category. Or if you're me, to foreshadow, I have Tua as my starting quarterback. He's ranked 20th best starting quarterback out of the 20 teams, so I get a 20 for him. So a low number is better, and I've normalized the data anyway, but that's how we determine position strength. I don't think I ever actually explained that, how that gets calculated in the past, but now if you're curious, you know. Fab, there isn't much dispersion except for if you've spent or gained money. So like me, Ryan are already in the top half of position strength, and we've gained Fab. Jack, the opposite, or somewhat partially the opposite. He's a powerful team, but he's spent. And Max, between his 2 trades, he actually, I don't know where he would have been before this, but he is in the red on position strength, and now he is also below the average of about 100 Fab. So he's in the red. Doesn't mean too much right now. It'll all start moving around when people start spending in free agency, and now, of course, we would have Jake. Jake, I assume, would be over here if I were to update it, because losing Lamar, and he lost DJ Moore to gain Higgins. I mean, DJ Moore for Higgins is somewhat of a wash, but losing Lamar is going to hurt, and I guess he's rolling with Geno Smith. So, I mean, I respect it, because like I went with Tua, so I was like the last person to get a quarterback. You don't need anyone greater than a Geno Smith to survive week 1. So I think in the long term that might be a really good move for Jake. And Fleming will probably be up here now, much stronger. He was already right here, so Fleming just made himself a lot stronger, and he would probably be right with Jack, to be honest, with the lower Fab. All right, into everyone's teams. I don't know why this one isn't showing up. Hold on. All right, yeah, we're live. Okay, much better. We got them back up. To refresh the page. So Ryan, we're just going to go in order of the draft. So Ryan with the first overall pick, and we'll get all the way down to Johnny at the 20th. So Johnny, you're last. Feel free to skip all the way there if you want to be a bum and not hear every team's analysis. So it's really, I don't want to get too in the weeds of everyone's teams, but I'll try to touch on a couple things for each team. So this is your Fantasy Pros. Wait, this is my picture. Okay, pause again. Alright, that's better. Yeah, his graphs were wrong. I had my team on it, which is the next slide. So, bear with me, guys. It's been a hectic work week, and I tried my best to put this together as fast as possible. There's probably going to be lots of errors and typos in here, and I don't care. We're gonna get through this, and it's gonna be great. Ryan's team, he's pretty solid. All around, he got ETN from me. He's done a lot of trades. Really, the story of Ryan is going on a crazy trading frenzy. He gets Burrow, Emeka Ibuka, ETN, and 38 Fab net from, and then loses Herbert, Gibbs, Kirk. That was not all one trade. That was a couple trades combined. He also traded away the Cardinals defense to John. I like writing that. Brian's got some solid guys. I'm obviously not a fan of Cooper Kupp, but having him in your flex in a league like this is fine. I think Ryan's really solid all around. The running backs are a little weak. I don't love ETN, and neither do the analytics, but Ryan's got a solid squad, so I'm not going to say too much. Sleeper has them. These are your sleeper projected points down here. Solid stuff, Ryan, with the 1 overall. This is me. I forgot to get rid of. See, hold on. Okay, these are from last year. It's like every week, foreshadow, I guess. Every week, I'll put your top 3 scores on here. This is my top 3 scores of week 1 of last year, so fun times. Not relevant anymore. And I should also touch on we'll call this the web chart. The blue is your starters, and this would imply I have strong wide receivers and strong flexes because it reaches all the way out farther into the circle. But I'm weak at quarterback, weak at defense, and I'm mid at running back and tight end. So you can use this to kind of look at your team and how good your bench is too. I mean, this shows I have a good tight end on my bench, good flex, good wide receivers. So solid stuff. Just so you know how to interpret that. I made the trade with Ryan to give him ETN. I got Christian Kirk and a Fab. Kirk now all of a sudden has a hamstring injury, so if he has to go out, then it'll be Marvin Mims in, which I'm not too concerned about that. I can roll with either of those guys, I think. I like my team, and actually the Fantasy Pros has me and Jack Colston as the 2 strongest team, tied for the strongest teams in the league right now, so I feel pretty good about that. But that really shows you how little, in theory, the quarterback matters. I mean, of course, if you have Josh Allen or Lamar, they have the upside of literally carrying the rest of your team. If the rest of your team is absolute garbage, if, like, they put up 30, 35 points, then you could pretty much throw up duds everywhere else and still survive. Tua is probably not putting up 35, but if he puts up 15 or something like that, and because I waited to draft quarterback, I got sprung people everywhere else, I'm gonna be fine. Even if Tua does 12, like I think you can survive with that. So anyway, just a philosophy that I like to follow. But yeah, Tua ranked 20th sounds about right. I am pretty deep at flex. I feel good about Pearsall and Kirk / Min there. I feel like I got good value with Hunter Henry for drafting him so late. And I already regret dropping the Rams defense, who Mark picked up. But we'll maybe roll the Packers just for fun to get the Micah Parsons upside, although I doubt it's evident in one. But anyway, I'm projected over 100. It's always not many people projected over 100, so if you're in that category or in the high 90s, you're looking pretty good. All right, on to Walker. Walker, I think, has a solid team here. I think I mentioned the draft. I didn't love his draft, but like the analytics likes his team. He actually, I think, is the highest projected on Sleeper right now at 105. I think this is Lee Get and the running back, the backup running back, Miles Sanders. Or no, shoot, who is that? Let's figure this out. I want to completely butcher everyone's teams. It not being, where is his team all the way at the bottom, of course. He has Michael Wilson in there. That's Rico Dowdle, sorry, other guy. But right now he has Michael Wilson in there. I guess either is all right. Kincaid is my biggest question mark. Same with Olave. Like, I think his team's pretty solid all around. Will Kincaid be as bad as he was last year, and will Olave have a brain? Otherwise, I think pretty solid team here. All right, Mitchell. I think he's a pretty top-heavy team. I think this is a bad rating for McLaurin. I think even as his wide receiver 1, McLaurin, I think it's going to be great. Odunze high upside. I think where he's going big boomer bust is with his tight end and his flexes. Kyle Pitts, we already know big boomer bust. Josh Palmer, I think, is boom bust. And this is Trey Harris. We don't know how much he's going to get worked in with Keenan Allen. I think that's boom bust. So Mitchell in a little bit of a risky territory here, but decent at the top that could carry him. Max being a part of the multiple trades. He had so many trades I had to put them on 2 lines here. He got Gibbs, Herbert, James Conner, and Sampson, and he traded away, or I forgot to add in the money he got back, because he netted only -12 here, because he's at 88. But anyway, he lost Derrick Henry, Joe Burrow, and Emeka Egbuka. I think, all in all, I would rather have, this is only 12, I'd rather have this than this, easily, actually, because I actually think Henry and Gibbs is kind of a wash. Like, Henry is not that much worse than Gibbs, I don't think. There's the more upside with Gibbs with pass catching, but Burrow is significantly better than Herbert. Egbuka's got crazy upside. Connor and Sampson are solid, but also it is kind of close. But I think I prefer this half that he lost. So Max, I think you would have been better off just keeping who you had and not losing Fab. But that's just my personal opinion. His graph here is pretty hilarious. Looks like a phallic shape, and his bench is literally only flex and running back. It's pretty funny. Really strong at running back though now, because he's got, yeah, so that checks out Gibbs and Connor. A little shaky elsewhere, but I think he's got enough to get through with when he's projected over 100. Jack, the S tier team. I think that still checks out even after the moves he made. He lost Fab, but got Derrick Henry, which was an upgrade from James Conner and Sampson. I think his flexes are still suitable. They are serviceable. I don't love Dalton Schultz, but it is what it is. It's just a tight end. Jack did this last year. He spent early, so let's see how that works out for him. I think he's in a solid spot. Also projected over 100. Ben, not much action yet in terms of acquisitions or trades. Adds Calvin Austin. I'm not loving his deep guys and flexes. I think this is Luther Burden, and then Bill Krosky and Tyler Lockett. Krosky could be good. We have to be seen what happens with Krosky. He's pretty top heavy with Jaden Daniels, CeeDee Lamb, and after that, I think it's a pretty big drop off. Mark Andrews could be great. We'll see. but we've seen him to be unpredictable. Pacheco and Javante, and sure, they get the job done. So don't hate this, don't love it. I think he's in a safe middle spot this week. Mark, one of the big danger zones of this week, he's got a big oof on drafting Rashee Rice and then having him get suspended the day after. I mean, you can thank Cooper for that, for getting married. First, also congratulations, Cooper, on getting married. But we had the draft when it was because Cooper had a week of wedding festivities pretty much right after that, so we had to do it on that Tuesday. If we did it later, Mark wouldn't have been screwed by Rashee Rice, this whole Rashee Rice incident. So Mark's got just straight up abysmal receivers. It is quite horrendous. Mooney's good, but we don't even know if he's playing yet. Maybe there's new news today. I haven't looked into it, but this is Jaden Higgins. Like, he's got the 20th and the 19th best wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and then oh god, let me just pull up his team because it's I think his is worth discussing because he's pretty low on the projected. He's got Thornton as well, actually starting. Yeah, this is J.K. Dobbins. I was confused by the jersey color. But J.K. Dobbins is solid. Bowers, you went Bowers in the first, so obviously he's going to be great there. Jordan Love is a solid quarterback. Running backs, I don't hate Walker and Travion Henderson. So Mark can actually be fine this week. May not need to hit the panic button. Just, to me, I think receivers hold so much value with half PPR that you need them, and he's pretty weak there. So we'll see how that goes. And I believe this is Malik Washington, but he's not actually starting him. And he grabbed Gabe Davis off the waivers. And like I mentioned, the Rams defense, he's starting them. I think they are solid. Projected 90, not on the higher end of projection. On to Phillip. I think Phil has for giving him an F draft grade, I think he actually has a solid, or an F tier ranking grade, whatever we want to call it, after the draft. He actually has a pretty solid team, and I think he's going to be fine this week. I don't love Brees, like I've said, but he's still going to get it done for you early in the season. Flexes being Rashid Shaheed, and I like these flexes, but I don't remember who that other one is. Rashid Shaheed and Demario Douglas. I think those are fine guys to throw in there, or maybe one of those is Wandale. I can't tell. That's who he also has on his bench. But I don't love. DK and Keon Coleman are semi-weak for his 1 and 2, but Kelsey, it's like pretty average all around. I think Phil's fine, and I like the flexes. All right, Cooper's team. Mr. Married Man. I think you look at his team and he's strong pretty much everywhere except for running back, and you're also taking a shot on a rookie tight end, which boom bust. I love him as a great prospect. I love him on Ron, Cortland Sutton. Judy's apparently the best flex 1 in the league. There you go. But the running backs being, you know what? I'm not even going to try. I think it's Jordan Mason. Okay, so I did try. Jordan Mason and Bashal Tootin. Or, no, that's probably definitely who it is. Or Trey Benson. That might be Bashal Tootin. That might be Trey Benson. Yep, that seems more right. But yeah, not good at the running back. So Cooper's not in a great spot, but I think he has his top guys, Hurts, and his receivers to get him through. So a guy to watch, but a guy I think is probably decently safe. Joey, nothing like super crazy going on here. I think he's got a pretty decent team. I'm curious to see how Scatabo works into the Giants offense as his wide receiver or RB2. I think he's got good receivers. He's got McBride. He's got Njoku also in his flex. And that is Hollywood Brown. Who is that? That might... I'll look it up. Big fudge. Oh, it's Kareem Hunt. Is that really Kareem Hunt? I guess it is. Okay, it's Kareem Hunt. Goff, solid. I mean, yeah, some good guys here. Just gonna keep an eye on Scatabo, and I guess also Kareem Hunt. See how they do it. James, another team somewhat in the danger zone this week. Josh Allen might need to do the heavy lifting here, as I've said. That can happen. You can have the rest of your team be bad, and your quarterback puts up 35, or anyone, for that matter, puts up 35 or so, and he'll be fine. Jaden Reed in his flex might not play. Gesicki, I don't really love as... I don't hate him, but I guess he's your second flex, not terrible, but the analytics apparently hates that. That might be a little harsh. Receivers are good. Josh Allen's good. His first running back is Charbonnet. So I like Charbonnet, but do I like him as my best running back? No, and neither does the analytics. And then Caleb Johnson, who we're still yet to see what kind of involvement he gets in the offense. It seemed oddly like, maybe not oddly, but the Jalen Warren is definitely like the guy, maybe, and that even Kenneth Gainwell might get work in before Caleb Johnson, at least early in the season. So something to keep an eye on. So that's James in a little bit of a tough spot this week, I'd say, and maybe for a couple weeks until he gets better guys, if some of those situations don't pan out the way he wants. JC, another solid team, I think. A better sort of graphic to have for your team is to have your running backs be weak early in the season and have everywhere else be strong, because I think you can get by with running backs who get a couple touches, couple carries, a couple catches, but that's it. You just need a little bit. So, Mahomes is solid, and receivers are solid. Malik and A.J. Brown really strong, and then he's got Hollywood and Jacoby Myers. I mean, just like really, really solid, I think. And then Jonnu is kind of a flyer, but we'll see. Ultimately, I think he's a good spot. And hit low projection on Sleeper, in my opinion, but I think it's fine. Jake, I think another decently solid team. Now he does not have Lamar, so it actually would change his projection probably a little bit. Let's imagine Lamar. Actually, let me just look. Lamar's projection, if I go to where is Fleming? Lamar. Okay, it hasn't processed. I forgot. So Jake still has Lamar on his team. It's so much easier to scroll through and find the teams when it's later in the season. There aren't 20 teams to scroll through. Jake. Lamar's projected 22.9, and he's going to start Geno Smith, projected 16.2. So that's 6 points off his projection. I'm not going to look at DJ Moore and T. Higgins. That's probably a similar projection. So Jake's projection is more around 90 now. So we'll see how that works. I definitely think that weakens his team pretty significantly. I mean, obviously. But I think he can get by, like I've already mentioned, with Geno Smith at quarterback. And, James Cook, Nick Chubb, Flowers, Evan Ingram I'm high on. I think Thielen's a solid play. Zach Ertz, I mean, some solid guys here. I'm not too concerned about Jake's team, even without Lamar. So it could be a good long-term move. We got Matt. I think I look at his team, and I think it's pretty solid across the board, except Fields. I project to be awful. I mean, your upside is getting a rushing touchdown, obviously, but I just think he's bad. I don't foresee him being good on the Jets. And Freiermuth is maybe not that much of a stud, but we'll see. They also got Johnny there now. But good enough to get by, I think, for now, for Matt. On to Potter's team. I think we got a solid crew here. Where he's weak is at his RB2 with Chris Rodriguez. But otherwise, he's kind of like me and JC, where we're all starting 4 receivers and they're strong. Like the bar, we got a lot of green and yellow bars on our starting receivers and flexes. So it's Brian Thomas, I believe, and Ladd and JMO and Michael Pittman, just solid stuff. Tyler Warren, huge upside. Dak Kyron, am I dumb? Was that Kyron? Seems like Kyron. It'll get easier once I have some of your teams more committed to memory. It's Tyrone Tracy, not Kyron at all. So, and we get running back, but solid everywhere else. I think he's doing all right. David, another solid team. Where the only real question mark is J.J. McCarthy, in my opinion. He got some upside in just being unproven, but otherwise solid running backs. I think receivers are solid. I mean, I've always never loved Waddle, but there's value there. Hawkinson's solid, and he's got good flexes. So that being Josh Downs and Tillman. So I'm a little confused also about the Giants' defense, but I'll let him do his thing with that. Apparently he's projected over 100, so he's looking pretty all right. Fleming's team. Coming to the end of the draft here, not many teams left. I think, he just upgraded Bryce Young to Lamar. I'm kind of curious why. I don't hate the move, but I just think it's a big spend for just to go from Bryce Young to Lamar. I mean, I'd say just like it's small, but he wasn't in danger, so it seems a little bit of an overspend. But now he has DJ Moore instead of T. Higgins. Don't know which one of those is going to be better. Theory, DJ Moore is wide receiver 1, or maybe they'll the Bears wide receiver situation will become similar to the Bengals, where they're really just like a 1A and a 1B with Odunze there now with more. Or Odunze probably going to take a step this year, hopefully. Sam Laporta, Romeo Dobbs. I think he's got some. That is Romeo Dobbs, right? No, it's Khalil Shakir. Kind of looks like Romeo Dobbs. That's Khalil Shakir and Ray Davis. So some decent guys. And I already mentioned Kenneth Gainwell. He's got him on his bench, but Kenneth Gainwell has a chance to get involved. Might not be worth the risk week 1, but yeah. Fleming now with Lamar is probably definitely really safe this week. But I think he was a well-rounded team before that. So don't even think he needed to pull the trigger on spending 45 fab. But to each their own. On to Huff's team. Another, decently well-rounded team, except does he have the QB curse? Quentin Johnson, the worst flex 1 according to Fantasy Pros in the league. We got Algier, we got Travis Hunter, who I think is also a big question mark, and this is Worthy? Yeah, Worthy with that. I can't remember. It is Worthy. He's solid at running back, decent at quarterback, tight end, just a little weak at the receiver position for sure. And the Bills and Ravens defenses, it's funny. I think whoever had the Ravens, it's like they're both ranked really low this week because they play each other. But that should improve in weeks to come. But I didn't make it clear these are all based off. These rankings are based off your week 1 matchup. Johnny, last but not least, the Chapel Hill Titans. Titans being Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard, who I've mentioned before, and I will say it again. I like both of those players in a vacuum. I would have loved either of those players on my team, but stacking them both when I got the Broncos week 1, you're rolling the dice, and I respect it. So, but your second receiver being Rashad Bateman isn't too pretty, and then Keenan Allen's all right. We'll see what he does if he's in your flex 2. Should be fine. Really strong at running back. Might be, without looking, one of the strongest trios of running backs in the league, given you went 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds. And then Drake May's pretty solid. And who is it? This is Mason Taylor. I think the big thing is obviously the Titans versus Broncos week 1. You got 2 guys there, and then you're banking on Mason Taylor being involved right away week 1 in what I presume to be a low-scoring game between the Jets and the Steelers. So we'll see. Spent $1 to get the Cardinals defense, one of the better defenses this week with their matchup against the Saints. So, solid stuff. And into the fun part, and how we'll end the video, the Week 1 power rankings. It's don't look too much into this because I did not think that hard about this list. I just kind of went with gut feels and quick glances at each person's team. This is where we're at. I think Jack holds up with the S tier being first. How the Jake and Fleming thing might shift things up. Where did I have them? I had them right next to each other anyway. I had them as pretty above average teams already, so they probably wouldn't move too much. As the season goes on, I kind of weigh a couple factors, those being this week's viability, your long-term viability, like if you have a bunch of guys that are going to come back in a couple weeks on your IR or something, or you got someone on bye. Anyway, you look at long-term value, short-term value, as well as how much fab you have. If you have a lot of fab, I think that boosts you up a little bit, although it's all in theory, because the fab doesn't do you any good if you don't spend it. So, cough Johnny. But this is the list. I got Mark at the bottom. Given the Rashee Rice situation, we got a lot of people betting on Mark to get eliminated this week, and we will touch on that in the next slide. And then James not far above him on my power rankings for week 1. But these will probably shake up drastically going into next week, but this is where it is right now. And, I forgot to put those in the, because I'm going to do a little click and then it's going to pop on the screen, but I forgot to put the 5s. Anyway, the 5s indicate the votes on people. There are 2 people who have been voted 5 times. That's half the league is voting on one of these 2 people to go out, and maybe some people threw in some votes late. I think there were only 16 votes by the time I pulled them for this slideshow. We got Mark, we got James, and these all down here getting 1 vote: Joey, Mitchell, Matt, Ben, Huff, Jack, Potter. So that, yeah, I think Mark makes a lot of sense. Ryan and I think are the innovators here. are the pioneers of voting for James. We were the only two to vote for him at first, and everyone jumped on the bandwagon. I thought, when I looked around at the teams, I wanted to vote Mark, but I wanted to go against the grain a little bit, or pick someone so that, better long term if I pick someone correct that not as many other people pick. And I thought James had just about an equal chance of getting eliminated this week, given his starting lineup. Mainly, I believe it was the running back situation that I'm least excited about. Yeah, definitely that. And some of the flexes being a little bit questionable. So Josh Allen's got to carry, and then Mark's just got a lot of issues at receiver because of the whole Rashee Rice thing. So because of the whole Rashee Rice thing and going Brock Bowers in the first, you just don't have as much time to get those stud wide receivers on your team. So it was a draft strategy. He's somewhat paying the price for it, and we'll see how it goes. Mark and James are on the front line this week, and that wraps it up. I don't have any more slides. I didn't have Ryan in here this week; he couldn't make it. But throughout the season, we will have guests on. For those of you that can spare like 40 minutes to an hour of your workday on a Thursday. Sometimes I record it Wednesday night, but we'll have guests on here. Ryan will usually hop in to have more commentary, add on to what I'm saying, because otherwise I just yap the entire time, which you just did. You just listened to me yap for 36 minutes, so congrats to you. But I'm excited, guys. Week 1 right around the corner. First game tonight, and then Friday, and then Sunday, and then Monday, and then someone's gonna be dead. So I'm excited. So good luck, guys. As always, don't get chopped.